Welcome to the Social Chameleon Show, where we have meaningful discussions and a wide variety of topics and ideas to help you on your journey towards self-transformation. As always, links, show notes, and everything we talk about can be found at thesocialchameleon.show. Today, we're talking about the Four Tendencies, a little bit of a book review kind of discussion around this book. I was so excited to do this episode. Look at me like, I don't know, it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had these things, I was thinking about this stuff. And
no.
I wound up getting up like a little early this morning than I normally do. I've been so excited for this episode. I just love this book. And let's get right into it real quick. Ransom, what was your first impression of the book? I know this was my recommendation, and I sort of shoved it down your throat a bit.
Well, you kind of did. You know, I have to be grateful. I'm going to say I'm grateful. I don't think I enjoyed it rather as much as you did.
Yeah.
You know, wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, springing and frolicking around. But you know, I guess just take that with a grain of salt. There were a few disadvantages that the book had. If I had to give,
All right.
something. It was my first audiobook. I'd never done the audiobook thing before this book. And
It's not for everybody. I love it.
no, I'm just saying I enjoy reading the book. I enjoy highlighting stuff, taking notes.
Yeah.
With the audiobook, I wasn't really able to do that. So that kind of took away from it a little bit. Sorry, Gretchen, but your voice, I know you did it on Audible, right? So
Yeah.
on Audible, you
At
could,
1.75, it's fine.
yeah, I've grown to like her voice as things go on.
Yeah.
But some of the things I guess that kind of confused me about the book, why I didn't really enjoy it too much, is because the concept behind the book is rather simple, I guess. I don't know. Did you feel that?
Yeah, but that was the beauty of it.
Right. So, but for me, I'm looking for books that are like deep and, in depth and things. So like when I read the original thing, I was like, okay, there's 4 categories.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, and the only thing that separates the categories is somebody's accountability. Like, I was like, that's what this book comes down to. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this book is too easy. Like,
Yeah.
I get it. When I read what they were though, I was like, was it Upholder? Then you have
Questioner,
Questioner,
Obliger, and Rebel.
Obliger, Rebel. I was thinking to myself, I was like, Rebel. I was like, I think that's me. I think that's Rebel. And then, right, of course, right. And then when she starts getting into the definition of things, right, the upholder is somebody that can meet outer accountabilities and inner.
Yeah.
And the questioner is somebody that meets inner accountability. And
Yeah.
not so much outer. Then the
As long as it's justified, yeah.
Right. And then for the obliger, somebody who reaches outer accountability, but they can't do inner accountability. And then the rebel is outer or inner, they can't. And I was looking at those definitions and I was like, according to the definition, I'm a questioner. Like,
Right.
Because I seek my own inner accountability. And then, at that point in the book, I was just turned off by the book at that point. That's
stupid.
I maybe I didn't give it a chance. It was like 15 minutes in. And then I actually had to convince my friend because it was an audiobook. The bonus of the audiobook is you can actually do it with somebody.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm reading this book. My friend is trying to shove this book down my throat. I was like, but whatever, y'all laughing over there. It's funny.
I know it's funny.
But yeah, so I finally convinced a friend to do the test with me because at that point, dude, I didn't even want to take the test.
Wow.
I didn't like it at the beginning.
Wow.
I don't know. But after we took the test together, of course, as you've been telling me, I'm an upholder. Like the test clearly read upholder. I'm confused about this book. Like I'm not even there. Maybe to solve that, maybe take the test first. I know you can go online and take the test.
Yeah. And we'll link that in the show notes for you guys.
And then at that point, I got defeated. So my friend ended up being a questioner.
Yeah.
So I was like, in order for me to like this book, why don't we just go straight to questioner? Because she's there with me. And then so I start listening to the questioner thing. But then at that point, that's kind of where the book got me. Because all the things that the book was describing about the question, I was looking at my friend. I was like, that's you.
Yeah,
Like,
right?
That's on point. Like, that's you.
Exactly.
So like then I was like, okay, then the book got good, but you know, I had to struggle through the first parts. I don't know. What did you think? I mean, obviously it was a better from the get-go. It was a good thing for you.
Um, this is my world. So to find things that better help me, you know, coach and teach and consult, I like to give it a fair shot.
Okay.
So when I was getting into this, I was like, oh, this is, you know, I had heard her on a few podcasts I like prior to picking up the book, and I was like, oh, this is some interesting stuff. Like, I dig it. Like, so I immediately jumped into the book, and I was going through the book, and I was like, okay. So I go through the book, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe somewhere through Upholder or something like that, I better take the quiz real quick. So like, I stopped wherever I was.
You didn't take the quiz. You just
I didn't. Okay. From the podcast, I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm a questioner. Like, there's no, because something she said, like, I don't know if you felt that when you read the book, but as you're going through your section, it's just like, oh, that's me. Like, like the whole chapter, like, oh, you're like, bro, this is me. This is exactly me. Like, oh, how do you know me? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's what I felt when I was with my friend. Yeah.
Yeah. So I hadn't got to that in the book yet, but I had that feeling from the podcast.
Okay.
So like, I better take the quiz real quick and like confirm my thing. So I took the quiz, and sure enough, I was like, yeah, okay, that's perfect. Like, kept going, and then like, and so then you start getting in your head like, oh, okay, what about this person in my life? What about this person? What are my kids? Like, what are my wife? Like, what are my friends? Like, so then I start thinking about stuff, and then and I was trying to think like about my kids. So I started thinking like, oh yeah, you know, okay, Titus is an upholder, and then I'm like, and I was like, Zabby. I was like, wow, what is Zabby? Like, I was confused. I was like, she's got to be a questioner. Like, that's like, and I was like, well,
those are the things that I think make the book, you know, better. I mean, make the book really good. Those are the finer points of the book, is like kind of trying to see where people is at. I definitely agree that. I see why you had so much hype, because like you were doing the podcast thing. But for me, you know, I had to get through the first 20 minutes or so of the book. Then I had to take the test, and it was an audio book. So like the question, rewind. And then like gives you the answers, and you're like, oh, rewind. Like,
I wound up skipping that chapter. I was like, bro, I'm not gonna listen to this.
Yeah, audiobook, that's definitely not the way to go. Go online and take the test.
Take the quick, it's super easy. Yeah.
If you have that regular book, it's definitely a lot better. But yeah, for me, I guess I didn't have the same thing, because the test said I was an upholder. I like going through the things, you know, I don't know if this kind of fits me, but as time progressed, I'm slowly accepting the fact that I'm a upholder. You're over there laughing.
Oh, it's funny.
At heart,
like,
at heart, I think you're still an obliger, but hey, it's all good, man.
Well, we can get into that, man. We can get into that.
Yeah, we will.
That's the fun part about the book, and the more you learn about the steps and the answers to the questions and the type of people, like I peg Zabby as a questioner. And never, I was like, oh, rebels are 5% or less of the population. I was like, there's no way. So then but then this is where I'm like, oh, let me test my knowledge, like, you know, the first kind of round into the book. So I told Zabby, hey, come take the quiz. And reluctantly she took the quiz, and she's like, I'm a rebel. I'm like,
oh.
This explains everything.
Yeah, and then, it reminds me of like those Zodiac books, you know what I'm talking about?
Right,
like,
the scopes and stuff.
Or something like that, because like as you're reading it, it's like, ooh, like, wow, that's.
But even a lot of those, you're like, well, most of that's me. Even like the other personality tests, like for the most part, a lot of times you're like, yeah, that's mostly me. But with this, it was like, that's
for you, it was on point. Yeah,
it's like, this is always me. This is always you and you and you, and like always, because, and that's the beauty and the simplicity of this deepness. Like, yes, it's very simple.
The concept is simple,
but to distill this down to that simplicity, there's a lot of depth there.
Yeah, because of the results and stuff. And I guess we can get into the book. I don't know, maybe some people watching have read the book, maybe some people haven't.
Right, yeah.
I don't think we're gonna go into full detail that she
No.
read, even though it's still a short book, but
Yeah.
I just kind of want
That's
to
not bad.
keep
It's just
points
a slight over 200 pages.
Yeah, it's 200.
Two and a half. I mean, some people can knock this out in an afternoon.
Real quick.
I read it 3 times, so.
Oh wow. Yeah,
I was so excited. I wanted to get more into it. As soon as I finished it, I just restarted the audiobook and I did it again. And then last week, preparing for this show, I reread it again and I listened to all the podcast episodes of her podcast talking about each of these. So, and like I said, I really like getting into the weeds in this types of stuff. So.
All right, so I guess upholder section. I guess I'll read this since everybody I know deems me as upholder. And maybe people who are out there listening to the show who know me intimately are pretty well can agree. It might sound familiar as the words leave my lips. Yes, upholder. Yes. Discipline is my freedom. I can do the things I want and the things I don't want to do. Why didn't you just do it the way I told you to do it? All right? Your lack of planning is not my emergency. You hear that? Not my emergency.
Said Brad Tyson many times.
Even when you call you uptight. That if you can relate with those questions, those statements there, I think you might be in the upholder section.
You're probably an upholder.
Yeah, probably an upholder. I'm still coming to terms with it, even though outside sources tell me that's what I am. But
your resistance to being an upholder is interesting.
Yeah, it is. But upholders basically they can hold themselves accountable for things on their own, and other people can ask them to do things, and they'll do them with ease.
And then just to clarify real quick, the language in the book is fulfilling inner and outer expectations, and then everything is expectations. It's the same words, but if you're getting confused because you read the book or you're familiar with it.
Yeah, and obviously if you read the book, like she goes way further into detail about upholders, and sometimes the tendencies will overlap each other.
Yeah.
So, you may be like an upholder question. Or upholder rebel kind of thing. So like it just kind of, I don't think upholder rebel. It's either upholder questioner or upholder obliger.
Yeah, every tendency's got their little like bleed over.
Yeah, you got a little Venn diagram there for those of you that want to get.
Goes on the audio version. You can go to socialcommunity.show and get the links to.
Get the links. Yeah, so I just find this kind of interesting. I guess being, and I guess Gretchen kind of explains that in the book too, is that being a upholder, you kind of think everybody's like you, like.
Right.
It's like, I told you to do it. Like, why didn't you just do it? Like, I told you exactly how to do it. Like, the easiest way you could possibly do it, and you still didn't do it yet. Like, what? I don't get it.
But that's the beauty of the book. It like opens your eyes to like, why aren't you people doing this? I get it. You're not an upholder.
Yeah, definitely. And then I guess because upholders have like a high sense of accountability for themselves too. Like the book mentions that other tendencies will tend to latch onto you, to kind of use you as a rock, like for certain things. I thought that was kind of interesting. I was like, that's kind of interesting, because there are a lot of people that will, want to study with me or want to do things with me just because I'm out there doing them. And it's a pretty interesting fact. That's kind of crazy.
I've used that many a times to my benefit.
Yeah. And that's kind of the thing where I think if you understand where you're at, I don't want to stay too much on upholder and talk about myself. I feel like I'm talking about myself in the third person when I use the word.
That's the crazy fun part about it.
But anyway, so for the upholder, because you can do everything on your own, and you can basically do things, like don't always think that other people are like you.
Right.
Other people, as we get into the other tendencies, they're going to need external sources of accountability, and sometimes they just need to be checked up on, and they'll do it. And, don't be afraid to give them tasks because you don't think they're going to do the task to your satisfaction.
Right. And understand that upholder is the second smallest category, just ahead of rebels.
Yeah.
So there's not as many as you think.
Yeah. All right, so there's enough of I've done talking about myself.
Enough about you.
I want to get into some questioner since you're out there thinking you're a questioner, which is kind of interesting.
Dude, I quizzed the questioner. When I read that chapter, it was my bio. There's no way I'm not a questioner.
Okay.
Great example of the very first thing that popped in my head when I was reading, quote unquote, this book. We'll call it the guy on the couch. If you know who that is, you know who we're talking about. Many years ago, I don't remember what the conversation was based on. I think he's, as an obliger, we'll get to that later. He's very frustrated with me as a questioner. And he told me one time in conversation, he's like, you're one of those guys that would run a red light in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, no shit, wouldn't you? He's like, I would never do that. I'm like, that makes zero sense. If you roll up to a stop sign or a red light and you can clearly see there's nobody around
for miles,
you just go. I do that every single day.
All right. Law enforcement agency, just make sure.
It makes zero sense. I don't stop.
All right.
There's a stop sign in my neighborhood that you can clearly see in all directions. And I roll up and I go like this and I go like this.
Not
and
justified in your opinion, huh? Not justified.
It makes no sense. Why do I need to stop? There's nobody around. Makes no sense. Henceforth, why I'm a questioner.
But see, the flip side of that is like, are you just doing that because nobody's there to keep you accountable? Like, I don't know, man.
But an upholder wouldn't do that. And a questioner, an obliger would not do that. Because the outer expectation is you stop regardless. There is no exceptions. There are no caveats. Tyson invents caveats and exceptions.
Yeah, that's good.
What questioners do.
Yeah. No, it's a good example of what a questioner is, I think. Yeah.
Right.
Pretty good.
And then here's some more from the book.
Yeah.
I'll comply if you convince me why. I agree. Because I said so, I don't think so. I concur again.
Yeah.
Justification leads to motivation. Mm-hmm. Seek and seek and seek and seek, and maybe you shall find. I was on Amazon last night with 14 tabs open for the same product, evaluating them all. Yes. Simultaneously. I have 3 monitors, so I can have plenty of real estate to have tabs open.
All right.
And I've ordered nothing. I'm just going to let you guys know. I didn't find something I wanted.
Got that analysis paralysis.
There is that, and I've got to check myself, and I'm learning how to do better.
Good.
Optimizing life, even when we don't want to. You should see my supplement cabinet. It's my way or the wrong way.
Ooh.
I don't know why you would disagree with me. You know I've done the research. You know your shit don't make sense. And sometimes the rules you're following are dumb. So just listen to what I tell you to do.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's definitely true. And that's kind of, I guess, where, the upholder does kind of overlap with the questioner a little bit. Definitely in general. But I guess the questioner is more of like an internal thing.
Yeah.
I think.
What was the questioner?
But I think kind of in part, maybe that's a little reason why I had some things with the book, is maybe I just overlap. But as an upholder, I deal with my internal mechanisms a lot greater than my external mechanisms, for sure. Like what I think and value towards me and what I hold myself accountable for is far greater than what somebody else would hold me accountable for.
Right.
And that's where I'm at, I guess.
And that's what she talks about in the book too. It's not everybody's here 100%. Sometimes your intensity as a upholder is greater or less. Sometimes there's tightening, whatever, and different things. Sometimes you bleed more than others.
Right, and then there's the other type of holder that will go towards more obliger, but we'll get into that on the obliger section.
Right.
But just things in general for questioners out there. If you yourself are a questioner and you can get justification for something, you will definitely get out there and comply with whatever that external obligation is to you, for sure. And if you're dealing with a questioner, you know what I mean? Like me as an upholder trying to get a questioner to do something.
Trying to get Tyson to do anything.
Trying to get Tyson over here to do stuff. Like I often have to justify or find creative ways to get him to kind of see my perspective on things. And once that's done, once it's accomplished, then we can work towards a common goal. It's kind of interesting.
A lot of time we just gel. As soon as it clicks in my mind, we just gel. And like we get on this wavelength and we just run with it.
Yeah. But I mean, there's times out there too, and I guess maybe that also describes the question, where you just, you can't bring yourself to do it, even though you want to do it. I mean, I don't know.
Or no matter how many days we've talked about it, I'm like, dude, I don't fucking get it. I don't believe you. I don't care. This doesn't make any sense, and I'm not going to convince me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And, and that's kind of the thing I like about the book, though. It's like, wow, like, knowing this kind of thing about people, like, I mean, sometimes I'm talking to Tyson, and then sometimes I'm just talking to the question or tendency inside of him. It's kind of, it's pretty interesting. Things that way.
But that's, once you learn this stuff, that's like the fun of it, It's like, oh no. And now I talk to you, like, we had a conversation a few weeks ago, and you're like, listen, I'm feeling like this is an expectation. And I'm like, whoa.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I
don't mean to make you feel that way.
That's the thing about obligers and upholders. Like, it just in conversation with people, like, your other person may be saying one thing, but me as the upholder, I'm hearing that I'm being expected to do something. Yeah, that was a good check when we did that. I was like, I'm sensing an expectation on my part for me to do something. And then you as a questioner, you're over there. No, I'm just giving you info. I'm just giving you info. I'm just letting you know, what's out there. But for me, the things in my mind, I like start clicking. Okay, he's telling me this. He's
gotta do this.
That. And then this is going to lead to him wanting me to do something, but that actually just wasn't the case.
Yeah, but 3 months ago, whatever, 6 weeks ago, that conversation would have been completely different.
Yeah, because I would have done something, and then you would have been like,
and I would have pushed you to convince you.
You're like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm doing what you told me to do, and you're like, I didn't tell you to do that.
Right. or on the converse, like we could have gone on the conversation road of me just ranting, come on, man, let's do this thing. What about this? Maybe you should just come with me, do this. And I would have just spent all this time convincing you, like giving you more and more data and more data and more data.
When all
like
of a sudden,
I do all the time.
Dude, you don't need to do that. I'm an upholder. Let's just do it.
Right. Yeah. Or if you didn't want to, like, I don't want to do it, no matter which data you give me, I'm not going to do it. But versus now I'm like, listen, I understand. Like, is this something you'd like to take on as an expectation from me, the outer? Is it conflict with you, the inner? I don't know. But now I can have that casual conversation that, either I can help lead you to wanting to do something that I want you to do, you know what I mean? Or knowing when to back off. Like, oh, you got too many inner expectations. This outer one you're not going to take. I'll have to figure this out a different way.
No, that's good, dude. And that's kind of, you're right. I mean, this book does grow on you for sure as you start reading more and more and get into it. Like, you start understanding the tendencies inside of people, and I think that's pretty awesome. And then from there, I guess we can get into the obligers as the next one. I kind of want to get through all of these so we can just get at it.
Yeah.
The obligers, these are some of the statements from the book that I thought were pretty relevant. So for obligers out there, you can count on me. All right. If I have to, I will.
Yeah.
By serving others, I serve myself. Yeah. And how can I be of service to you? Right. Or I don't want to, but I'm going to do it anyway. Like that kind of stuff. Like, so for the obliger, like there has to be, I shouldn't say there has to be, but there usually has to be some sort of external accountability held onto the obliger in order for them to do something. Yeah. Like people that go to the gym, right? Like as an upholder, I just go to the gym because
as a questioner, just go, I get in, I get out.
But as an obliger, they kind of, maybe like a fitness trainer or maybe a gym partner to go with, right? Someone to help keep them accountable for the task that they want to do. And that's a little bit, that's like, I guess, in just a little bit of what the obliger is. The book definitely talks about more about it.
And understand this is the largest segment of the population.
Mm-hmm.
So most of you out there are going to be this. And this is a great time to understand why you're not keeping the New Year's resolutions, why you're not taking the pounds off, why you're not achieving your goals. This is why you need external accountability here you go. Now, don't change your tendency. Fit your life to your tendency.
But it's funny that you say that, because I think a lot of obligers out there, like they try to do that.
Yeah.
And I think me as an upholder, I naturally want to change them into an upholder, which is
Same here.
kind of strange. You know, it's like,
Yep.
I want to change you into an upholder. I want to get you to do these things, like, I mean, go to the gym, or, you know, go study or do something else. And as an obliger, like, they just need that accountability thing. And for me, like, I'll go to the gym with an obliger like a few times, and then I'll stop going with them, and I'll expect them to just keep going on their own. You know,
I showed you how to do this. Get it going. Figure it out.
We've been doing it, and then that obliger would just kind of fall short of that expectation, because I no longer am keeping them accountable or being their accountability partner or manager. You know, it's kind of interesting.
It is. And the same as a question, I have the same thing. I'm like, listen, I gave you all the data. I gave you all the statistics. I answered all your questions you didn't have. Like,
you're still not going to the gym.
In the gym. I don't get it. And prior to this, I'm just like, you're a effing retard, and I don't effing get it. And you're just no hope for your dumb ass. So leave me alone.
Oh, goodness.
Like, listen, get a fitness app, go get a trainer, like, find a partner. But this just opens up my whole world to how people think.
To understanding that. And I think as obligers, and I don't want to go too far into detail, you know, definitely read the book if you're interested. But some of the things about obligers that are interesting are I call it the accountability shift. I forget what she calls it in there. But let's just say I am your source of accountability.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be the person that gets Tyson to go to the gym, right? For this, well, maybe not Tyson, but I'm going to be the person that gets the obliger to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And we start going for a while. And then as we're going through this process, I get closer to this person, and I either become their friend or whatever. We establish a relationship, per se, right? And at that point, for obligers out there, you got to know that your inner circle of people, right? The people that your close friends, your family, you know, loved ones of that sort in nature, they are often extensions of yourself. So as you pull people into that circle, like, they are no longer an external source of accountability. You know what I mean? They are part of your inner circle. So you gotta be aware of that shift. If there's somebody out there that used to be able to hold you accountable to something, and all of a sudden you're finding that you're not they can't hold you accountable, it's just because they're in your inner circle now. Or you need to find a new external source of accountability to get that. And I think that's important too for obligers to know.
Yeah. When that accountability fades, and that there it is right there. They become close. Family, close friends. Yeah.
Yeah. For whatever reason, you know, just be aware that, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, I think I'm an obliger, but I had this accountability person, and, you know, now they're not keeping me accountable. It's not that. It's just the fact that something has shifted to the fact where you no longer consider that external source. You know, it's no longer an external source.
Obligation, right? Yeah, exactly.
And then the other interesting thing about obligers is the obliger rebellion.
Yes, this is a very critical one.
Yeah, for those of you out there, you pay attention, because that's, you know. And
those of you that aren't, because most people are, so your employees, your coworkers, your friends, your family, they're most likely all obligers. And obliger rebellion can lead to some big problems.
Yeah. So you want to talk to them a little bit about, like, 2 seconds what that is?
Yeah. So what happens is there's a critical mass that an obliger will hit, where that external obligation becomes too much, or whatever it be, that they no longer want to do it, so they rebel against it. So
yeah, I kind of see it as like, if you're that person who's always giving, like, and then when the other person thinks of that as an expectation from you, you're like, wait a minute, it's not an expectation on my part. I'm doing this because out of the kindness of my heart, you know, I'm doing this to help you. You know what I mean? I'm here to serve you, and you're taking advantage of it. Like, you know, those situations, or sometimes obligers are just doing things that they're not really fulfilling to themselves.
Yeah.
And, you know, and they're just doing it because that's in their nature, right? That's their tendency to do and meet external sources of accountability.
Yeah.
And after doing that, they're like, I'm out.
Yeah, eventually, yeah, their plate gets too full and they can't have anything else on there, and they rebel against something.
And then for me, I guess looking further into it, because I kind of get deep into the book.
Yeah.
For obligers, if you're in the obliger rebellion, you're just rebelling against something. To me, that's a very, very hard place for the obliger to be, because you're doing something that, number one, is against your nature.
Yes.
That's totally, completely against your tendency. And number two, you now just lost that external source of accountability.
Mm-hmm.
So like you're in a rock and a hard place. Number one, you can't be yourself because you're rebelling. And number two, you no longer have an external source of accountability, and that kind of tears people apart in the obliger section. So if you're there and you're that, then definitely, try to find a way out of it, or try to find, maybe a new way of external accountability. Or, go do something to get that rebellion out of your system as quickly as possible. Because I think that that's kind of like toxic stuff that kind of hurts. I see you reading in there.
I was trying to get the section on obliger rebellion.
Yeah.
It's
in there.
Yeah, real quick. Obligers often feel exploited, and they are. Mm-hmm. Because after all, when it comes time to ask for someone's help, who do they ask? Upholder, questioner, rebel, or an obliger? Obligers, of course, because they're the most likely to lend a hand.
Right.
So yeah, and that's the thing. You knowing this and reading this book, or at least listening to this podcast, now you can be aware, like, my plate's getting too full. I didn't really want to do that, but I feel that external obligation and that pressure to fulfill that external obligation, because my internal obligations, I ain't gonna do those. So
right.
You got to watch for that. It's a very big thing. That's why people quit jobs and do these things. And suddenly, Sally used to be so dependable. Now she's like, F this place. Obliger rebellion. Now you can notice that, and you can go and you can have the conversation. Like, listen, what happened? How can we?
Yeah, and that's true. Like, if you're a manager or you're a good friend, like of an obliger, and you sense that rebellion, try and repair that. Yeah. Get out there and repel them. Be like, look, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put all this expectation on you. That's my fault. I'm sorry, and try to help them feel less exploited and less taken advantage of, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think, there's a lot more to the obliger we can get really down into. Let's move on to the rebel.
Okay, cool.
It's kind of like my favorite, and it's the scariest one. And plus, there's, my daughter's a rebel, and it's just like, I get it. Now I get it. I was wondering why I was pulling out my hair, but executing is still so hard with rebels.
Yeah.
So rebels don't want to do anything. They don't want to fulfill inner or outer expectations.
For sure.
This is where things get a little crazy. That's those free-spirited people and stuff. Now we kind of have a word and we understand, like, why these people are like this.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to get them to do anything.
They'd be creative about that.
Yeah, so you have to be very creative. And I guess the way to get them to do something is information, choices, consequences, and then let it be.
Yeah.
No guiding, no nudging, no nothing. Just let it be. And that's the hard part, especially as a parent. That's the really hard part. It's like, okay, here's Y, here's choice A and choice B. Have a good night. You come back, you're like, there's still laundry. Oh.
It didn't work.
No, but then you have to execute the consequence.
Yeah, for sure.
And you have to live up to that. That's the hard part, especially as parents.
Either as parents and or as managers, that's hard to do. It's like, you don't want to suspend somebody, or you don't want to, you don't want to fire them, but at the same time, that rebel tendency, right? Because I think with some of the things in the book, like, as rebels, like, you can't make me, neither can I. You know what I mean? To them, it's more about a control issue. Yeah. Or it's so easy when I want to do something, but it's hard when I have to do it. Mm-hmm. And you're not the boss of me. I do things my way. Like, whew. You know what I mean? Like, right. And it's easier to ask for forgiveness rather than permission. Like,
yes.
So those kinds of things, like, for a rebel, when I read the book, I kind of think of control. Yeah. And I think, maybe that's kind of my takeaway from the book too. Why maybe I had a hard time. It's like, I think at one point we were all rebels. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, see, that's the thing. That's what you think, and that's how I think too. Because you and I bleed into rebel.
Yeah, but see, that's kind of, you know, that's just where it's at, though. I mean, at some point, you know, if you find people out there who are resisting control, or even if you are a rebel yourself and you just, you know, you find yourself wanting to go to the gym, but, you know, you got this upholder friend of yours who's like, hey, you're going to go to the gym today? As a rebel, you'd be like, what? I ain't going to the gym today just because you want me to go. Right. Even though inside you want to go to the gym. Like,
I was going to go, but now I'm not.
You know, it's like, it's so frustrating sometimes to deal with that. Yeah. Or if you're a rebel yourself, like, you know.
I lean heavy to the rebel tendency a little bit, bleed.
Yeah.
So I have that, like, oh yeah, you wanted me to do something? Yeah, not anymore.
Yep.
What, it's a holiday and I'm supposed to give you something? Not anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the book goes into a little bit about if you notice somebody's in the rebel tendency, like not necessarily trick them, but reverse psychology works for them. You know what I mean? So, you know, if they want to go to the gym and they'd be like, so you're going to stay home and loaf around and watch TV all day? You know, that statement instead would probably get that rebel to go to the gym.
Yeah. I'm going to the gym. If you want to meet me there, I'll see you there in 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, give them the option.
Yeah, that sounds fun, actually. I want to get a run in or whatever.
Yeah, but don't sit there and tell the rebel, you got to go to the gym today. That's like
We're leaving at 4 o'clock and you're getting in the fucking car.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Don't tell them how to do it. Definitely don't tell them when to do it. Like, you know, and that's a real interesting thing about this book too, that I kind of liked and took away from that. Mm-hmm. And then that's basically the 4 tendencies, like in a nutshell. So
you know, one thing from the rebel that was my favorite part is freedom is my discipline. It's like,
yeah, freedom is my discipline.
How the F is what?
Hey, I like the other thing too, like rules are meant to be broken.
Yeah.
Except, would that be a rule? Like, it's like,
what's the story from the book that like the child like didn't tie their shoe for like 4 hours and threw like a fit or whatever because the mom was like, you need to tie your shoes, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm not tying my shoes.
I'm not gonna do it.
I want to see you make me tie my shoes. Like, I'm not.
But I think I think for rebels, like, I think being a rebel is frustrating. Like, it's like a self-perpetuating frustration, because even when they try to get on track and do things like for themselves, like once they get into habits or once they start things, they start to see that as a form of control. Like, you know what I mean? They feel like they're controlling themselves and they just want to break free all the time. And
that's the thing too. Sometimes praise of them doing something will make them rebel against it.
Yeah, definitely. Like even to like the questioner too, is like, if you start praising somebody in a manner that person thinks that it's now an expectation, like they're gonna resist that.
It's like, wait a minute, I didn't implement this expectation. No.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I think the one was about the person the rebel that started going to the gym or something, and then he posted it up on social media.
Oh, and people start like encouraging him.
Yeah, all the people were commenting, just trying to give encouragement, because, you know, obviously this person's a rebel and they don't do things often.
Yeah.
So now that this person went to the gym and everybody's like, oh, good job, keep it up, I'll see you next week, blah, blah, blah. Like, they start thinking like, oh, now these people are expecting me to go every time.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like they're trying to control my life. Like, and as a rebel, you just kind of resist that.
And as a guy, and that's the thing too, the one that was funny was the was like, oh, you're Sally, don't forget to make your bed. I was like, I was in the middle of making my bed. Nope. It's like, oh, that's hilarious. Like you, like on the one person wrote in for the book. Was a kid or something. It was like, I start doing these things, and then my parents praise me, and I stop, and I'm like, I enjoyed getting up early, but because you like it, I have to suffer now.
Oh no. Oh, that's like the hardest thing to deal with.
That's gotta be just so frustrating. Like I really wish I could still get up early in the morning, but I'm not gonna, because you liked it and I liked it too. But no, I'm not gonna let you win.
Yeah. So I mean, definitely this book brings to light some of that stuff. So, you know, I think the Obliger and the Rebel sections are the biggest sections in the book, especially like how to deal with rebels, or if you're a rebel yourself. Like, they have little tricks and tactics on how you can kind of either trick yourself into following your tendency, which is pretty helpful.
Yeah, there's a lot of good strengths and weaknesses in each of the tendencies to kind of find those things that, like, you know what, I'm not good at this, and then now you know why and how to fix that and get it in. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah. So yeah, but I mean, for me as an upholder, I kind of like this book too. It's like when you ask somebody to do something, and if they automatically do it, you're like, okay, this person is either an upholder or an obliger.
Yeah.
Something to take care of. But if there's some type of resistance towards what it is, I gotta kind of look now. It's like, is this person resisting me because of the rebel tendency, or are they resisting me because of the questioner tendency?
Right.
If it's a questioner tendency, then all I have to do is justify the reason why they should do it. And then
or more information.
Right? And if it's the rebel tendency, then you kind of just think of, this person thinks I'm trying to control them. Maybe just tell them, give them a little bit of information. And like you said, right, information, consequence, and
choice.
Let go of the accountability. If that person's a rebel, don't check up on them. Right? That's the other thing too, is like, you check up on them, they're going to be like, oh, this guy's trying to control me.
Yeah.
Like, let them do it at their own pace, how they want to do it. It's kind of
and, you know, it just came to my mind. That's the thing that drives me nuts about micromanagement. Like, I already told you this was going to get done. Why are you checking up on me? External accountability handled. Expectations are going to be taken care of. I told you, don't talk to me again.
Yeah, but you got to remember, though, that most of the people out there are obligers.
Probably obligers. Like, I better make sure that this is getting done, because I wouldn't do it.
Right. But also you got to remember that most of the population is obligers. So if you're a manager out there, you know, being that person always checking up on somebody, trying to keep them accountable is a good thing, because, you know, 60% of the time it's going to work for 60% of your employees.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And then the people that it's not working for, don't get mad at them. They're not being disrespectful or undermining you or whatever it be. They're just a rebel or a questioner. Figure out which one and give them what they need to get. And then and then everything else will be smooth sailing after that.
Yeah, definitely. I like, see, that's the kind of things that why I was like, this book is because like those kinds of things are actually pretty good. Some of the things I didn't really agree with is like, I think for me, I kind of take tendencies from all four, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if you thought about that. You know, so
I don't, because I guess my bleed is rebel upholder. So I feel like naturally I'm in all those. So I know. I guess there's some obliger tendencies, but I'm sure they actually fall into one of the three that I'm already a part of, and it's not really an obliger.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying is, it's like I can kind of see a person going through and having all the tendencies. So just because somebody's an upholder per se, it doesn't mean that at some point you might deal with an obliger tendency inside that person, or a rebel tendency. So just be on the lookout. To me, I think the book would have been better if it had been explained that way. But maybe that's just the upholder in me. Who knows?
She's also an upholder too, so.
Yeah.
Must have been hard for her to write a book that says, "Get the shit done. I don't understand the problem."
Yeah, but definitely those kinds of things are, you know, and if you are an obliger, this book has a lot of good things. If you deal with rebels, this book has like tremendous amount of things in there that you can do, you know, to deal with all that kind of stuff, man. That's crazy.
And that's the thing, you know, what I noticed after reading this book too, is like all this advice and stuff you hear out there and these memes and these things, it's like they're all written from an upholder or like a listener's point of view to obligers.
Yes, they are.
You just go get it done. Oh, I'm an obliger. I can't. Like, stop being weak and just get it done. I don't understand why you can't go to the gym, why you can't lose weight. Just get it done. Well, yeah, you're an upholder telling an obliger, just go get it done. And they're like,
man.
I tried to get it done. I need somebody to help me. You don't need nothing. It's all in you. You've got to fix you. No, it's not.
Yeah.
But now you know, you just need external accountability. Read the book. There's lots of ways, or go on her website, or you know, check the links in the show notes and stuff. There's lots of resources to find your tendency and work within it to start to achieve your goals and the different things that you need to do.
Yeah. That's
So
cool.
I've been dying to know for weeks now why you think I'm an obliger.
Oh gosh, you're gonna get on this subject, dude.
I'm the questioner. You can't leave me hanging for this long. I've tried to you 15
again, like I said, I'm just gonna add a caveat. I think the book would have been better to say that, you know, there are core tendencies, like upholder tendencies for sure. But there are times in which I myself as an upholder have rebel tendencies. Like there are times when I just get there and you can't control me no matter what. You're not going to control me. Even if something I want to do, you're going to try to control me? No. I'm like that kid. It's like, I'm going to make my bed. It's like, oh, good to see you're making your bed. Oh yeah? Nope. That's like, that's a part of me. And I think the other part of this book that kind of makes it weird is that as an obliger, like by definition, you need external accountability to do stuff. And so for me, on you, that's kind of what it is. Like you often need external accountability to do stuff.
Yeah. And
granted, it does need to be in a questioner format.
Yes.
It does need to be justified according to who you are. But you definitely need external accountability on a lot of things. There's a lot of things that, even like going to the gym, like there was times when like I was like, dude, let's go to the gym, and like you just didn't do it for whatever reason.
There was something else I wanted to do, or a reason why I've given myself. But that's the thing. I realized that some years ago. Like, listen, I'm not going to work out unless I have somewhere to be. So I have to either schedule myself to be there or sign up for a class to be there. Because what's going to happen is I'm going to go down Tyson Lane.
Yes.
And I'm going to do whatever I want all day long, and I'm going
to. But that's what I'm saying. You know, those are kind of the things that, like, as a questioner, like once you justify the reason for going, like you should continue to keep going. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Yeah.
But it's also easy to find something else that's happening, or lose track of time, or all these different things. I have to have reminders for things.
And I'm sure everybody's got that, but that's the part where I think you're just obligers, is because like you need constant external accountability. I wish for some reason you could develop that on your own. And, you know, I'll give you that. Like as a questioner, you just find a new reason to do something else instead of what you originally set out to do. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of questioners out there who meet that criteria as well, but constantly over a period of time, I just know you as a person that, you know, I can't tell you to do something and show you how to do it once or twice, and then it's just gonna happen. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah. Does that settle your questioner? We meet there halfway in the middle.
Works for me, because I understood what you were alluding to, and I wanted to confirm it.
Okay.
Questioner, I wanted to confirm.
God. Well, as an upholder, I told you. Shut up.
You're just a dang obliger, and shut up and let's move on.
That's funny.
But what it is within me is I know I can easily run away from myself, you know, in my mind.
Yeah.
Lose track of time. In the morning, it happens all the time. Especially I'm like yesterday morning, it was like me and Titus were out. We about 10 minutes before we had to leave for the bus. We're in the yard. Next thing you know, we're 2 minutes behind schedule.
Yeah, I know. You don't have that.
I go off these thought trips, or I go on these things, and if there's something not pinging me to like kind of bring me back to reality and bring me back in.
Yeah.
I'm just
saying, like, I think that's more of an obliger tendency. And like I said, it's, to me, I don't think that people firmly fit and they only have questions.
No, yeah.
Like I definitely think the book should be like, this is where you sit mostly, you know, like we're talking about, like 60 to 70 or 60 to 80% of you sits within one category. And sometimes you'll have a random tendency from one of the other tendencies. And if that's you, great. Just recognize that. You know what I mean? Take hold of that.
And I know she does talk about it. Maybe she could have done a little bit better job of explaining it, that there are different intensities of each of these. There are different different levels of each of them, and swings. Yeah.
We don't need to take it that far, but
right.
That's kind of where it's at.
Absolutely.
Good.
Anything else on this book?
I guess just one last thing about questionnaires, since we're out there. I don't think we really talked about the analysis paralysis. And
Trust
for
me.
me, that's a big thing for questioners. And just
Yes.
so we can end on that note, if you're a questioner out there, questioners have a tendency to grab like a lot of information, like before they can justify themselves why they need to do something or how they're going to do it, or even what they're going to buy. Like Tyson said earlier, he's like, I'm looking at like 10 different screens, analyzing the same product from different websites. You know, sometimes questioners just get like a deer in the headlights. Like there's so much information that they don't know where to go.
Yes.
And on top of all of that, like as an upholder, I want to tell you, like, pick something and just go do it. You know,
Yes.
but as a questioner, you may either not do a lot of things because of that. I don't know if you should accept that, but I think
Oh,
part of the process in data searching is sometimes you just have to do something, or you have to buy a product.
yeah.
And then if you don't like it later on, just return it. You know what I mean? Or if you don't like what you're doing, like Tyson does, like he'll do one thing, he doesn't like it, and then he'll stop doing it.
Done.
I don't think that the analysis paralysis should stop you from doing something. You should definitely do something. If you're a questioner out there, take action as part of your analytical process.
Yeah.
Try something.
Mhm.
Does that work? And then throw it out. I guess that's kind of the last thing I had to add for questioner.
No, and as a questioner, yeah. And I know what I've learned over time is make a decision with, set yourself parameters, make a decision. And even if it's wrong or it's not quite right or whatever, you can always go back or return it or whatever and just go. It makes life so much easier. When I started kind of doing that, my trips to Walmart are so much quicker. My Amazon searching is so much quicker. It's like, who's the best? What's the thing? Okay, just go. I don't need to say is fifth best okay at an 86% decrease in price. Like I just go, okay, you know what? This go. And then I've gotten okay with like getting stuff in the mail and be like, you know what? No, I don't see it, and returning it.
Yeah.
And be okay with it. I did more research. I wouldn't have made this decision. No, it's okay. I just go.
Yeah. As a questioner, do some research. Maybe look up 3-4 websites, do some research, but then pick a product and buy one.
Go.
Then from there, once you have it, then you can analyze whether it's good or not. If it's not, go out and get the next one on your list, or analyze 3 more, pick the best one out of that. But definitely action is a key for a questioner, because a lot of the time you won't act on anything if you're just stuck there doing nothing.
Yeah, and there's in the book, there is a little section on mastering analysis paralysis. I recommend it. I got some good ideas from it.
Yeah, good. All right, so I think we're wrapping it up here. We got some giveaways.
The giveaway. We're doing the same giveaways all month long. Giveaway. It's a big giveaway. To recap, for you guys that aren't aware, we're doing the Ego is the Enemy, the new coin, and the book. The Obstacle is the Way, their new coin, and the book as a whole complete set. Head over to thesocialchameleon.show/pickme and enter for your chance to win that little package there. We'll have one winner announced at the end of May.
All right.
And then, of course, books we recommend. Obviously, the show is a review of the book, The Four Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin. We'll have that linked over at thesocialchameleon.show, along with everything else we talk about on this show. We were looking for a couple of books on this topic. One of my personal favorites is The Secrets of Power Negotiating. And this kind of talks about having that win-win, finding out what people are after, what their expectations and the reasons they're doing whatever. So you can get into that. That's a good one. And then, what is that?
I said, is this book's more on personality types, right? And identifying.
Sort of, yeah, right. And getting your negotiation to be a win for you and a win for the other party in whether it's buying a car or selling a business or whatever it be. Yeah. And then also How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, another book along the same lines.
Yeah,
absolutely. And then we'll link to the Four Tendencies, the resources, and the quiz, and everything there. And then our challenge for the week here is to understand your tendency. So go take the quiz, or if from this description, from this show, you probably already know who you are. And then understand your strengths and your weaknesses, and don't try and fix your weaknesses. Just find your system that works for your tendency to make them work for you. And
yeah, a good example of that is if you're an obliger, like go seek outer accountability.
Get it.
Don't
be
get
ashamed.
somebody else to help you. Yeah, I mean, understand that that's who you are.
Yep.
Know about it and take action. Play to your strengths.
Yeah,
Definitely.
don't let the upholders and questioners tell you just go to it. You know how to get it done. Get it done. No, tell them I understand what you're saying, but personally, I need accountability, and that person obviously isn't going to give it to you. Go find something else. Yep. There's lots of ideas of how to do it in the book. So get that book. Go on to her website. Get the resources. There's lots of ways to help you get your external accountability.
Yeah. So I guess in final thoughts, sorry, basically just sometimes instead of looking at a person or looking at yourself, look to that tendency inside that person. Mm-hmm. Definitely be aware of what's going on and be like, hey, is the reason I'm not doing something, or is the reason that this person's not doing something because of who they are? Mm-hmm. Or is it just the upholder or the obliger or questioner or the rebel inside of them?
It's not that they're disrespecting you. It's probably just their tendency.
Yep, for sure.
And in closing, as always, thank you guys so much for joining us here on this episode, The Four Tendencies. You can follow us on our journey all week long at Win the War from Within on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, the whole nine. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on your favorite podcast app like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Anchor, and all those many more. Please do leave a review on iTunes and whatever other services you use. It does help our show get to more amazing people like you guys that are already listening to us. We can help share this thing and help people on their journey towards self-transformation. As always, links to everything we talk about, book recommendations, and everything else here tonight can be found at thesocialcommunity.show. And until next week, you guys have an amazing day and a great week.